So my dad grew up in the South Slope of Brooklyn, Park Slope. So he lived there from 1939. My grandfather had been living there. Their family had been living there. It was a neighborhood around Fifth Avenue in Brooklyn, right near Greenwood Cemetery, which is a really beautiful cemetery, and Fifth Avenue. Right now, it's completely gentrified and is a highly desirable place to live. But back then, it was an Italian-American neighborhood, basically. And from all the stories that my dad had growing up, a really nice place to live where family lived close by and everything you needed was right there. People would come and go from each other's houses. So my grandparents lived there through the 1980s, and so I was familiar with the neighborhood. But when I was going through some photos, I found a really interesting photo. And it's going to take me a second to pull up. And it's this one here. So for much of my life, I've been trying to avoid any connections between Italian Americans and the mafia because it's really overstated. The mafia, they were a big deal in America, but there are millions of Italian Americans, most of which who are just hardworking people, no connection to the mafia. But I find this photo, and my grandfather is right here on the left. His name was Anthony Greco, but he went by Lefty because everybody back then had a nickname. He must have been left-handed, hence the name Lefty.
Yeah.
But I look at this photo and I'm like, are you kidding me? I mean, this guy here especially looks mafia to me. So I had this photo, and unfortunately my dad passed away last year, but I had this photo with me at the wake and funeral, and some of my dad's cousins came to it, and I decided to show them this photo. They were able to identify everybody in the photo. Well, they gave it to their brother, who was able to identify everybody in the photo. So it turns out that these are not mafia. These are some relatives of mine, my dad's aunt, and these are some of those cousins and the father and that kind of thing. But I went ahead and looked at some more information, and so basically there was a connection to the mafia. So let me see if I can find this on here. So where is Fifth Avenue? Okay, there's Fifth Avenue. My grandparents lived at 254 20th Street. So it was 1, 2, 3, 4. This house right here. And you can see this is what it looked like in the 1940s. It looks different than that now. They had porches on the houses. Back then, I have some documentation of that after D-Day with all the people gathered around. Right now, it's just a flat face. So, okay, we're four houses or so in up 20th Street in this area. Is it right here? No, not right there. Which corner was it? There are 4 corners. It's going to be the last one, I bet. I just went to it. Well, you can see the neighborhood, and there's the fresh cheese shop, the Latticini Freschi. There was a macaroni store. There was a furniture store, cigar stores.
Fish store.
I mean,
rugs.
Wouldn't you love to live in this neighborhood?
Look at that car.
And back then, the elevated train was in this area.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. So once again,
the elevated train.
and that was taken down during the war.
Track, yeah.
They used the metal for the war.
Oh wow!
So that was part of it. So their house was four houses up on 20th Street. This is going uphill. This building right over here was a place called the Dixie Tavern, and the Dixie Tavern was a bar and food place. and it came up in some of the Facebook posts and some other thing. The Dixie Tavern was owned by the capo who went by Toto Marino. That was a nickname as well, who was a capo in the Genovese crime family.
Wow.
And he basically ran this place, and it was a big hangout for the mafia. Well, this was my grandfather, who was apparently a very sweet, gentle, kind man, never made much money, only had 1 week of vacation off a year in which he would do something.
Yeah.
They had no money to go anywhere.
Yeah, fish, go to the beach.
Yeah.
There.
And, but this was his hangout. And so when I was doing some other information, searches on this, I found documentation. Toto Marino is even mentioned in the Kennedy files.
Whoa.
When they were investigating mafia connections.
Is this the Dixie?
And this is the Dixie Tavern right here.
Okay.
So this was in existence when I was growing up in the 1980s as well. I've never been in it. I assume my father probably would go to it sometimes, like maybe went with his dad, but the neighborhood all hung out there.
Whoa, yeah.
So one thing I did find out from both my dad and my mom in later years, apparently my grandfather died in 1984 and had a wake lasting 3 nights, and a bunch of mafia guys showed up to his wake.
Wow.
So, like I said, while he was not directly involved with the mafia, they were present in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
And I'm not pro-mafia, but they did do a lot for the community and made their bargains and kept the neighborhood safe. So.
And you said that this neighborhood was, you look up this neighborhood, it's, really sweet, like a village, like it resembled a village maybe over in Italy, all these.
This with the businesses and the friendliness and the way the community really was all together in the neighborhood. So nobody had, or hardly anybody had cars. My dad had one person in the family that had a car.
Wow.
My grandparents never learned to drive. So you walked everywhere or took the trolley or the bus or the train. So you really lived there, and your whole life was in your neighborhood. Even though you were at the center of the world, you really spent a lot of your time there.
And where's your parents' house one more time?
This is my grandparents' house. Was 1, 2, 3, 4.
The Dixie Tavern.
Well, let me hold on. Actually, where did it go? There was one showing it in the 1980s too, because they have. I believe it's this one. Oh, yeah, and here it has what it looked like in the 1980s. So this is a little blurry. I have a download of this as well. So this is basically what I remember growing up, and you can see how different it looks.
Yeah, it doesn't have the porch or anything.
Yeah. So.
Rotted, or who knows what happened to it.
Yeah, they took them all off.
Wow.
And I think they honestly didn't have the money to repair things because it was a very poor neighborhood. So my great grandparents bought this house in the early 30s, for $3,000, and as of a few years ago, it was going for at least $1.8 million.
Wow.
And I could have had this house. That's the other sad part of the story.
I have a couple of those stories.
It would have needed a lot of renovations.
Yeah.
If it was a brownstone, there would have been no question I would have been in it. But
This is a great story.
Yeah, this is just one nugget of one of the things that I've uncovered.
That's awesome. This is so good. Thank you for sharing the story.
No, thank you for giving me the opportunity.
All right.